It's Thursday, September 12. In the headlines, PIOJ says Jamaica is unlikely to reach 2030 development target. Regionally, more funding to support female entrepreneurs in Belize. And in sports, Trinidad and Tobago and French Guyana draw 0-0 in Nations League match. This is the news on PBC Jamaica. I'm Simone Absalom Gale. The Planning Institute of Jamaica, PIOJ, has admitted that the country is unlikely to achieve developed nation status by 2030, but notes that significant progress has been made in key areas. Danita Rodney has the details.
Speaking to members of the media and the public during the Planning Institute of Jamaica's Economic Update and Outlook for April to June 2024, Director General Dr. Wayne Henry highlighted some of the nation's achievements, particularly in human capital development and social protection.
Some of the areas in which the country has advanced include 1. Human capital development and strengthened social protection, which include increasing life expectancy, demonstration of improved ability to manage or reduce increases in poverty rates in the midst of crises and shocks, increase in tertiary level enrollment, reduction in adolescent fertility rate. 2. Improvement in security, safety, and governance, which include trend decline in serious crimes, that's category 1 crimes, improvements in key governance indicators, including government effectiveness, improvement in the delivery of justice services, such as case clearance.
However, Dr. Henry acknowledged that some areas have seen insufficient progress with setbacks in certain developmental goals.
There have also been areas of insufficient progress and/or development loss, with some overlapping with areas of progress. Some of these include gaps in human capital development and social protection, with undesirable rates of chronic non-communicable diseases, NCDs, poverty, school attendance from early childhood to secondary levels of education falling short of the targets.
He also pointed to challenges in economic growth and competitiveness which have hindered progress.
Challenges or gaps in economic growth and competitiveness, including low levels of economic growth, insufficient competitiveness and earnings in key sectors, increasing consumer prices and inflation levels above target, gaps in capacity for environmental resilience and quality of social infrastructure, including a decline in performance to levels considered unsatisfactory in international metrics for environmental sustainability, and less than the targeted number of local sustainable development plans.
Program Director at the PIOJ, Pisha Bryan, reinforced that due to these ongoing issues, Jamaica will not reach developed status by the projected 2030 timeline.
It is fair to say that Vision 2030 Jamaica continues to be the guiding framework for the country and has provided, I think, a measure of stability in terms of how we look at our development process and pathway. However, our data does suggest that the goals and outcomes, and particularly I would say the targets that were benchmarked against developed country status standards, most likely will not be achieved by 2030. I put in this proviso though. When we started the process of long-term national development planning, we thought of getting to developed country status.
She says the focus was never just on the timeline, it was on a shared pathway and vision for the Jamaica we all want to live in and know we can achieve. For the news on PBCJ, I am Danita Rodney.
Residents of Prattville, Asia, and surrounding communities in South Manchester are being advised that the health center is closed. The closure is due to repairs being done at the facility. The Manchester Health Department, MHD, says repairs are scheduled to be completed for full restoration in October 2024. In the meantime, clients are asked to use the Newport and Cross Keys health centers in South Manchester or other nearby health facilities. For further information, clients can contact the MHD at 876-613-1543 or 876-613-5895. September 12 is a date that has been etched in the memory of many Jamaicans. It is a day that Jamaicans experienced the worst health disaster in its history. It wreaked havoc in the Caribbean and the Gulf of Mexico before landing in Jamaica, and the destruction it left made it the worst storm in the nation's history.
This is your weather report, and thank you for joining us. As we take a look at the Caribbean satellite photograph, we see our latest tropical storm, Gilbert.
From 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. on September 12, Hurricane Gilbert drenched Jamaica. According to Hurricanes Science and Society, coastal storm surge flooding produced tides of up to 2.7 meters. That's 8.9 feet above normal on the northeast coast of Jamaica, causing inland flash flooding from September 10 to September 14. The hurricane was so large that significant amounts of rain fell as far away as Venezuela and Costa Rica as Gilbert made landfall across Jamaica. In Jamaica, 40% of total damages were to agriculture. 95% of all hospitals suffered damage, with only 2 of 25 escaping with minimal damage.
2 hospitals in particular were badly devastated. The Princess Margaret in the east and Lucy Hospital in the west were badly damaged. Their bed counts were more than halved after the hurricane. And some of the big facilities were quite seriously damaged as well. The Kingston Public Hospital, Cornwall Regional Hospital, and the University Hospital were seriously affected, both in terms of their bed count and in terms of other services like the routine outpatient services and specialist consultation services.
Health facilities didn't really have a mass casualty situation. It was the public health aspects that we had to monitor very closely because there was no electricity supply, water supply, and the environmental health situation in general needed close monitoring.
All over the island, 50% of the domestic water supply, storage, and distribution facilities were destroyed.
Help does not come for a day or so, even from within the country, because the roads are blocked, they have to be cleared, transportation has to be gathered, and so on. And so people really have, for the first few hours, to depend on their own.
The island got help from international aid agencies, but even that brought issues.
Many agencies sent us volunteers before we were ready to receive them. And it meant that a major call was placed on our limited housing resources and limited food supplies, and the worst hit communities were where all the volunteers wanted to go. And when we tried to explain that our strategy was to keep our major institutions functioning so that we would be putting volunteers to some extent, not necessarily in the worst hit areas, but in areas in which they could relieve the pressure on the regular staff, people became a little upset because they wanted to be where the action was.
Since that disaster, Jamaica has developed emergency funding, established the Office of Disaster Preparedness and Emergency Management, and enacted a Disaster Risk Management Act. UK Aid and the Pan American Health Organization partnered to retrofit 9 health centers island-wide, making them safer and more resilient to natural disasters and climate change. Building codes were changed to ensure that homes were not easily destroyed during hurricanes. But no one could have predicted the latest destruction left by Hurricane Beryl on July 3, 2024. Thousands of Jamaicans in the southern parishes were left without water and electricity for days. Houses, schools, Churches and farms were completely destroyed. The country has mostly bounced back, but with forecasters warning of more disasters due to climate change, Prime Minister Andrew Holness has announced a move to mitigate future disasters.
So in response to these challenges of high frequency, high intensity, and overlapping crises, the government established the Disaster Risk Management Review Committee. This committee is tasked with strengthening Jamaica's preparedness for disasters and ensuring that we are ready to meet future crises head-on. The DRMRC, that is the Disaster Risk Management Review Committee, will focus on critical areas such as infrastructure resilience, essential services like water, electricity, and telecommunications, as well as medical services and community preparedness. These sectors are crucial in maintaining stability in times of crisis, and any failure in these areas can have widespread consequences.
Hurricane Gilbert killed 341 people and left $5.5 billion reportedly in damage. Almost every decision made by Jamaican administrators since then regarding disasters in Jamaica are made with lessons learned from that day, September 12, 1988. Choosing the right degree is more than just academics. It's about shaping your future. In part 1 of this JIS feature, we explore how young people can align their career goals with the degrees they pursue to build the life they envision.
As a child, one can seem certain about the profession he or she wants to lead. A doctor, a lawyer, a police officer, maybe even a firefighter. The possibilities seem endless. But then comes adulthood and the moment where you need to make a definitive decision. A lot is riding on that decision. Money you may or may not have. Time you'll never be able to recover. And of course, a parent or guardian you may not want to disappoint. You may find yourself steering into the future where anything is possible, and yet the choice of what career you want to go into is difficult. Here are some things to do to help you make the best choice when choosing your degree program and ultimately the career you will lead. First, you may want to consider your interest. What excites you is what will automatically draw you in.
Fundamentally, do not do a degree because your friend likes that degree. I know a lot of people who pursue degrees, pursue tertiary level education, doing something that they don't like, but because their friend is doing it. That's a no-no. The fundamental thing about doing a degree and doing a good degree is something that you do well, easily, without having to struggle.
Then you want to do some research on that role. Research will turn up added information for you to know if this path is right for you. Research can be done in varying ways, but first, get to know yourself.
There are a number of career assessments online that when you do them, they give you an instant report. I recommend to persons who are contemplating career choices to do a minimum of 3 career-related assessments. When you do 3, you give yourself an opportunity to see a pattern in terms of what the reports, how the reports discuss the way you answer your questions. And then once you see the pattern, it's easier for you to narrow down to 3 possible choices that match your interests and your aptitude. And then you can do a deeper exploration of those 3 career choices to include online research, informational interviews with professionals who are in the field, people who are 5 years in the field, 10 years in the field, and beyond 10 years. And that will give you a good set of data to clarify whether this career most likely will suit you.
Time now for the business report.
Good day, everyone, and thank you for joining us on the Business Report. I'm Denise Williams, your guide through the latest happenings in the world of business. iCreate Limited will rebrand and rename itself to Kentire Holdings JA Limited. The company will also apply to the company's Office of Jamaica for a change of purpose from a digital and creative training institute to an investment holding company or holding company. To solidify its position as an investment holding company, iCreate will acquire 51% stake in Parallel Real Estate Ventures Limited for $325.5 million, further expanding its real estate portfolio with high potential development projects. Additionally, iCreate will acquire a 20% stake in Sevens Restaurant for 25 million Jamaican dollars, positioning itself to capitalize on significant revenue growth opportunities under improved governance. During trading for the period September 11, 2024, the following companies represent the top 3 most active stocks that investors bought and sold on the Jamaica Stock Exchange. Pharmaceutical distributor R.A. Williams Distributors Limited with 2,127,197 units represented 11.98% of the total market volume in terms of sales. Retail giant Fontana Limited with 1,490,484 units represented 8.39% of the total market volume in terms of sales. Financial conglomerate NCB Financial Group Limited with 1,431,081 units represented 8.06% of the total market volume in terms of sales. Moving from the money moves of investors, executives, and companies on the stock market, we turn to the Forex market. On September 11, 2024, the Bank of Jamaica reported that US $53.78 million was bought from Forex traders, while US $62.83 million was sold to Forex traders. Buying directly from the Bank of Jamaica, foreign currency traders sold the US dollar for $158.78 and bought the US dollar for $157.01. The difference between the buy and sell rate was $1.77, which represents a profit for Forex traders for every US dollar traded. Canadian Forex traders earned a trading profit of 52 cents from transactions with the Bank of Jamaica. The Canadian dollar was sold at $116.86 and bought for $116.34. For traders looking at the British pound, they pocketed a profit of $1.11, selling it for $206.56 and buying it for $205.45. For the credit report tip of the day, turning 50 often brings a renewed focus on securing your financial future. If you're behind on retirement planning, leveraging your credit effectively can be a powerful tool to catch up. Consider these 2 strategies. First, think about getting a secured credit card. If your credit needs rebuilding, a secured credit card can help establish positive payment history while minimizing the risk of overspending. Then use credit for smart investments. Leverage your credit for investments that generate passive income like real estate or dividend-paying stocks rather than for consumer purchases. And with that, we wrap up today's business report. I'm Denise Williams. Appreciate your company. Stay well informed, stay ahead of the curve. Until our next update, take care.
In regional news, in Belize, the International Network of Women in Business, NIME, has signed a key agreement with the Development Finance Corporation aimed at empowering women entrepreneurs and boosting economic growth in Belize. The partnership will strengthen support for women-led businesses by providing financial resources and business development services. Katia Montenegro-Huer explains how this initiative will benefit over 200 women across the country.
So today marks a significant milestone for NIME Belize as we sign the first Memorandum of Understanding with the Development Finance Corporation. This collaboration is a powerful one for us. NIME Belize has been collaborating with the Development Finance Corporation since the beginning of our journey in 2022. NIME Belize offers a space, a platform, a community for women in business to grow and succeed in business. We offer mentorship, advocacy, and opportunities to provide the tools for women to succeed in business. Through this collaboration, we hope to enhance the different incentives and programs that we offer for our membership. And of course, today marks the beginning of a long-term relationship in terms of access to financing and different programs that can provide women the different opportunities to access finances. As we know, this is one of the main challenges for women-owned businesses. So this collaboration is very important for both organizations.
As we know, Belize is heavily dependent on the income that comes from women that are employed for their households, taking care of their children. So what about the impact that organizations like NIME and the initiatives that you guys run have on women in Belize?
So one of our main objectives is to provide the different tools, information, and opportunities for women in business. We create that by providing women a safe space where they can share experiences, ask questions, collaborate with each other, and even create partnerships. So through collaborations like this, we are able to address the specific needs of women-owned businesses and work together to create different products, financial products and services that women can have access to.
Finally, DFC you said this collaboration will give you guys more access to funding. So how can we see the initiatives that you guys do expand now that this collaboration will take into effect?
So we are at the beginning of the collaboration, of course. There is a process that we need to go through, and of course, one of our objectives as well is to create mentorship programs and different boot camps specifically for financial literacy and inclusion. So once we have our members be part of that, then we can provide the different requirements and the different structure that they need in order to be able to access financing.
In St. Lucia, the Ministry of Health and Wellness has issued key guidelines to combat extreme heat. Officials are urging the public to follow practical measures to protect the most vulnerable during these intense weather conditions. More in this HTS News Force report.
Sweltering atmospheric conditions have prompted the Ministry of Health to issue urgent guidelines on extreme heat risks. Director of the Health, Education and Communications Unit, Nadej Smith-Lambert, says more than just being uncomfortable, extreme heat and humidity can endanger vulnerable groups.
Especially for infants, children, pregnant women, and the elderly. The current weather conditions places persons at risk of dehydration and its related effects, which include dizziness, fainting spells, and heat stress. Without taking the proper precautions, extreme heat can lead to heat stroke and even worse, death.
The Ministry of Health is looking to ensure that everyone is aware of the steps that must be taken to remain safe in extreme heat.
To avoid those detrimental effects of the heat, the Ministry of Health advises everyone to avoid exposure to direct sunlight. It would be prudent to limit outdoor activity in the direct sunlight during this time. Additionally, you should increase your water consumption throughout the day. Carry a water bottle to have water readily available. Also, students should be encouraged to take water breaks during classes. It should be noted that sugary drinks are not a substitute for water, as they contribute to further dehydration.
Individuals are advised to avoid wearing dark-colored clothing as it absorbs and traps heat. Smith-Lambert encourages everyone to adopt simple, proven actions to help stay cool.
Ensure when exposed to direct sunlight, hats, umbrellas, cool light-colored protective clothing, and sunblock are used to reduce the impact of the heat. Practice proper hygiene, including bathing regularly to avoid unpleasant body odors. Please be vigilant for signs and symptoms of heat exhaustion, which may include dizziness and fainting, weakness, heavy sweating, moist, sweaty skin, vomiting, nausea, or diarrhea, fever greater than 102 degrees, dilated pupils, headache, rapid shallow breathing, cramps, and muscle spasms. Students experiencing any of those symptoms above should alert the school nurse or teacher immediately to get proper medical attention.
The Ministry of Health urges caregivers of the elderly and teachers of infants and young children to prioritize these guidelines due to the heightened vulnerability of these groups to extreme heat, given their reduced ability to regulate body temperature.
In sports, it was a disappointing night at the Dwight York Stadium in Tobago as the Trinidad and Tobago senior men's football team were held to a goal-less draw against French Guiana in the CONCACAF Nations League. Here are the highlights.
In front of 2,000 passionate fans at the Dwight York Stadium in Tobago, the Trinidad and Tobago senior men's football team took to the field as they came up against French Guiana in their second CONCACAF Nations League match. TNT created the first chance of the night thanks to some lovely link-up play that led to Kevon Woodley teeing up Dwayne Muckett, whose curling effort was tipped over the bar. TNT keeper Denzel Smith was called into action after some good hold-up play by Joel Saruko that led to this shot from low kick ball. The Soca Warriors continued to create chances in the first half, with midfielder Daniel Phillips striking the post. With half-time looming, Muckett ignored the option of Alvin Jones that resulted with his left-footed strike going over the bar as both teams went in at the break with the score reading 0-0. In the second half, saw Jones picking out Rion Moore, who got past the keeper but missed the tight-angled shot.
And the ball slips through, it's Rion Moore.
Jones kept on providing when his pass found Noah Powder, whose shot was struck straight at the keeper.
1v1 with Erickson and his shot from Powder.
The match would go on to end 0-0 between Trinidad and Tobago and French Guiana as the Soca Warriors dropped to last position in Group B of League A on 1 point. Adrian Lazar, TTT Sport.
Following Trinidad and Tobago's disappointing 0-0 draw against French Guiana last night at the Dwight York Stadium, head coach Derek King said that he believes his team did enough to warrant a victory in their CONCACAF Nations League match. We have more.
It was another night of frustration for the Trinidad and Tobago senior men's football team, who drew 0-0 against French Guiana in their CONCACAF Nations League match at the Dwight York Stadium. The result leaves the Soca Warriors sitting at the bottom of the standings in Group B of League A. Head coach for TNT, Derek King, shared his disappointment and highlighted what went wrong for his team.
I think tonight our performance is a bit disappointed. We didn't get 3 points. I think we went out there, we analyzed the team. Our ball movement was a bit slow, but we still create chances, and I think we should have get 3 points tonight. When we analyzed French Guiana, our approach tonight was not to give them room to play. So I think it went out well defensively. We was pressing the ball, we intercept the ball, but we was playing a little, plenty lateral and backward passes.
That's the news on PBCJ. You can follow us on our social media platforms at PBCJamaica. Thanks for watching.